Podcast.
Herald and News, your news now.
The Herald and News.
Empowering the community.
Basin Views.
Herald and News, your news now. Klamath Falls, Oregon.
The Herald and News.
Podcast. Empowering the community and serving the Klamath Basin. This is the Herald and News Basin Views podcast. Greetings and welcome to Basin Views, a Herald and News podcast featuring interviews with local experts discussing issues important to the Klamath Basin. I'm Kurt Liedtke with the Herald and News. Now, with every edition, we have special guests, but we may never get someone more famous than our guest today. Whether you personally celebrate Christmas or not, this gentleman is absolutely inescapable this time of year. Here to tell us all about the Klamath Falls Snowflake Festival celebrations and everything happening across the Klamath Basin, none other than Santa Claus is joining us. Santa, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm, of course, in my flight, looking things over and making sure that everything's intact and Klamath Falls is ready to arrive.
Well, normally I start these off with asking people to give us some of their background to let us know a little bit more about them, but I'm not sure if that's actually necessary with you. You may, in fact, be the most single famous person on the planet.
Well, Santa Claus has been coming here a long, long time, and there's an exceptional bunch of kids in Klamath Falls.
Well, we are now getting into the Christmas season and the holiday season, and Christmas is on everyone's minds, whether it's shopping or anticipation or all of the community celebrations. Klamath County has a rather unique celebration in the Snowflake Festival. This year it takes place from December 1st through the 16th with a wide variety of events that we're going to get into in detail. But I'm curious kind of how the Snowflake Festival all got started and came about. And I know you've been involved with it for many, many years. So could you give us the backstory, please?
Well, the original Snowflake started, and I believe it's pretty close to 34 years ago, and it was originated out of the Parks and Recreation Department and went through Howard. He was one of the directors, and then of course Ken Hay, which was involved with it for years, and then it went from the Parks and Recreation for several years into the city of Klamath Falls, and the city of Klamath Falls run it for 5 years ago. It was turned over to a volunteer committee, and the committee now is running it for the Snowflake, and there's a tremendous amount of support from this committee, and the committee is getting smaller, so later on we'll be talking a little bit maybe about that there could be some volunteers that would like to sit in and help Santa out and help the Secretary and Treasurers and develop a new relationship with the Snowflake for coming years.
Well, and it does take everyone's participation. Santa can't do it all on his own, even though you are very active during the Snowflake Festival in the lead up. It seems like you show up all over town around Klamath Falls on a daily basis. But it takes, parents and families and dedicated members of the community participating to make all of these things come together. They don't just happen. It takes a lot of behind the scenes work, right?
That's what it takes, yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about the committee behind the Snowflake Festival, the folks that are involved that coordinate this event, and just how long it takes to put some of the Snowflake Festival together? How far in advance do you start working on it?
Well, we got kind of a late start this year because of some of the holidays, but it takes about 4 months. We do work on it just about year-round, but basically we start in September, and we start putting things together, soliciting our sponsors and working on the parade and working on the events for Santa. And like I say, this community is far beyond. It's the expectations that are out there is so great for the kids of Klamath Falls.
Well, and as the Snowflake Festival begins, there's been a tradition, at least the last few years, that Santa arrives not via sleigh, but via helicopter at Kiger Stadium, which makes for an interesting scene to officially kick off the holiday season here. It's going to be a little bit different this year. Can you tell us what is happening instead of the somewhat traditional Santa helicopter ride?
Right. Santa Claus has been coming 6 years with MedLife, and it's been a very good situation with both. But we decided to change it just a little bit this year because of not so much tradition, but this year Santa's going to be coming down 6th Street, turning on Avalon Street, and going to Coastal for a Christmas Wonderland at Coastal. So kind of Santa Claus opening for Santa Claus will be 9 o'clock at Coastal from 9 to 11. And from there, we'll go to the bazaar at the fairgrounds from 1 to 3.
And it seems like just about every day there are opportunities for kids around Klamath Falls to interact with Santa Claus over the course of the Snowflake Festival. There's all sorts of different events. There's some really interesting ones. You can go bowling with Santa Claus. What are some of the other things that Santa gets to do over the course of the Snowflake Festival?
Well, the other thing that we got is Toys and Tots, and it's going to be at Elmer's restaurant, and it's going to be on December 8th. It's going to be from 8 to 9:30, and it'll be a great time. And it's Toys for Tots, which is great. The other one that's is very big and is the Shop with the Cop. We spend at the Field House at Steens Park, and we spend 3 hours up there with the kids selected by the committee who gets to shop with the cops. And it is so enlightening, I tell you. There is some cherishable kids there.
There's all kinds of different events that are all sort of thrown together under the veil of the Snowflake Festival. Some are various businesses being involved. Some are contests, like there's a gingerbread house competition that some people take very seriously, and there's some pretty incredible houses that show up each year. There's the Snowflake Mile Run that precedes the parade. Of course, everyone knows the Snowflake Parade that happens this year on December 6th down Main Street at 7 p.m. So bring some warm clothes. I have a feeling, just like it is every year, it's going to be pretty chilly, but always a great time for that. Do you have a personal favorite aspect of the Snowflake Festival, or something that you perhaps enjoy a tad more than other things?
Well, everything for 15 days is based around Santa, but Santa is a very important thing to a lot of kids. You just can't believe how kids come alive. They're really, really serious about Santa Claus. It's probably the largest event that I've ever seen in Klamath Falls, and Santa will be in a sleigh again this year. Hopefully we'll have a little snow that actually dresses up the situation and makes things look more like Christmas. But it's a fantastic time. The businesses in Klamath Falls do a tremendous job in supporting us.
Well, and you also get a couple of assistants to aid you throughout Snowflake Festival. They were actually just crowned this past weekend with the Miss City of Sunshine Outstanding Teen and Miss Klamath County Outstanding Teen. This year it's going to be Caitlin Brightman and a familiar face, Katie Eskildson, who has previously served in the role, I think, before she was Miss Klamath County, and this year she's going to be Miss City of Sunshine. So how do those ladies assist you over the course of Snowflake Festival?
Oh, they're tremendous. They're unbelievable. They do such a tremendous job helping Santa. The biggest highlight for them, for me, is down at the Christmas tree lighting. They greet and meet with every kid that comes to the tree lighting. They give them candy canes, direct them to Santa Claus, and kind of patrol and keep them in touch or keep them in line, so that Santa Claus doesn't get overwhelmed. But the girls just do a tremendous job, and they're with me several times during the year. It's not just once. I think I have them about 7 times or 8 times this year, and so they just do a tremendous job. I'm anxious to meet the new girls. It's always been interesting to have girls of this talent. It's unbelievable.
The parade is, I think personally, the highlight of the Snowflake Festival. I think it's the thing that certainly has the largest crowd and that people look forward to the most, because it's a celebration of the entire community. It's not just Christmas. You see all the service organizations and various businesses, and military comes out, and it's a great time for everybody involved. But I know there's a lot of work that goes into creating that parade. So can you give us some details about this year's parade?
Well, we don't have a total number of the entries right now, but I can tell you, last year we had over 120 entries. Now that's a tremendous parade. We do have a lot this year. We're trying to reorganize it a little bit better so that the odds are on one side, the evens are on the other, so that we can move through, get started. It always is a little concerning about getting everything going, getting down the street. But it's truly and we have a lot of clubs that step up and do a tremendous job for us and getting people lined up, keeping people moving, and it's definitely a community-oriented parade, and it is all based around the people that come out and help.
It takes a lot of coordination, of course, but there's always X factors that get thrown in. I can't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, one of the runners that was involved in the Snowflake Mile that always occurs right before the parade pointed out to organizers that there was a manhole cover missing on Main Street, and it delayed the parade for a good half hour while they looked for a replacement manhole because no one wanted to see, a marching band member suddenly fall into the sewer or anything like that.
Yes, that did delay the parade. It surely did, and it created a lot of I wouldn't say emotion, but couldn't figure out why the parade was taking so long to get started. But the police did an excellent job, and the public, the employees of the city jumped right on it, found another one, got it back up there, and got things going.
I think it's hard out there for a Santa this time of year because there's all sorts of planning and special events and appearances. There's a whole lot of kids that want to meet you. What is the toughest part of the job as being Santa Claus?
Well, I'm telling you, the kids are so sincere about meeting Santa, but I don't guess there's any hard thing about being Santa. You've just got to be very cordial, very understanding, and you've got to have the time to listen to them because they'll talk forever to you. If you got time to listen, they'll be there forever. But it's a very heartwarming experience for me and my family.
Any individuals stand out over the many years that you've been involved with this of funny moments or weird moments? My brother will never let me forget when I was a very young kid and I got scared to death of a person in a woodsy owl mascot costume. I was absolutely terrified. Do you ever have kids screaming in terror, afraid to meet Santa, or someone that said something really funny that still stands out to you to this day?
Oh, you always have, either the girls or the boys. It seemed to be last year that the boys were more standoffish than the girls was. But I try to assure Mom and Daddy, don't force them on Santa because everybody works 11 months a year to keep the kids away from people that are strange or different than usual. And Santa with his beard and Santa with that big uniform that he's in is a challenge to a lot of kids. And so I try to make it as easygoing and as soft as I can to assure the kids that they're in a good place. But I keep, I keep stressing to the parents, don't push it. They'll get used to Santa and they will come around as they get a little older.
The Snowflake Festival is somewhat unique for the state of Oregon. Now, every community has, or at least most communities have, a Christmas celebration of some kind, whether it's a parade or a tree lighting or maybe a choir concert. There's always something that seems to be going on in every community surrounding Christmas. But the Snowflake Festival, just in terms of sheer scale and longevity, is somewhat unique. It's 2 whole weeks, and just about every day there's something going on. The parade is massive. Some of these events get huge turnout. What is it about the Snowflake Festival that makes it different from other community celebrations?
Well, I truly think it's the support of the community. It's with our sponsors and our people that partake of the Snowflake and the city downtown, city owners and operators downtown. They open their doors to us, and it actually is I guess I'd say it's probably an opportunity to meet and address the wonderful people at Klamath Falls.
There's a lot of people behind the scenes that work very hard to make the Snowflake Festival happen. It's not just yourself that makes it all come together. Are there some specific individuals that you want to note? And also, how can people get involved? Maybe, at this point, we're getting so close to it that most of the planning is done, but perhaps next year and years down the line, we need people involved in this to continue to make it happen, right?
Yeah, Terry is, of course, with the parade, and Shirley is with the secretary, and Kelly is with the public relations. I, of course, changed clothes at that time and become a member of the committee. But next year, any one of the phone numbers that's on our sponsor list, or there is some numbers on our rosters that you can get a hold of, and any one of those people will take your name and address and phone number. And I'm here to tell you that we really do need help for next year. It's becoming a very large festival.
And with that scale comes more and more work. I know a lot of the people involved are very passionate about it, but they're also getting up there in years. So there needs to be new people involved in it. Everyone loves to go to the parade and participate in it, but in order to sustain this long term, there needs to be more people proactively involved in the planning of it, correct?
10-4, yes, it is. It's just, like I say, once you get in touch or involved, you'll never leave us. It's so enlightening to the kids.
And there's also volunteer opportunities for some of the various events that happen. Some of the businesses, they recruit their employees, but then there's also people that are just needed for one-off things and whatnot. I'm assuming that any person who volunteers to help with the Snowflake Parade automatically gets on the nice list?
Gets on a nice list. Yes, he does. Yeah, he or she. Yeah. Of course, it's most generally, it seems to be the seniors that are stepping up and helping us out, because they are the ones that have the most time to spend. Because it's one thing we don't want to do, is we don't want to take somebody that's spending time with their family and their children and, coming out and work when they should be enjoying the parade with their kids too, so.
There is one thing that, and maybe this will automatically put me on the naughty list. I don't know, but I assume I'm there already. I have one slight issue with the Christmas season, and it's not a problem with you. It's a problem with the way that things have been kind of commercialized and how Christmas has become such an integral part of our economy as a whole. And as a result, we see advertising now that starts to show up for Christmas ads getting pushed earlier and earlier in the year. Christmas is supposed to come at the very end of the year, December 25th, and yet I start seeing ads sometime occasionally in September, in early October. Does Santa think that maybe we should do it one holiday at a time? I know there's preparations that begin well in advance, but do you think that maybe Halloween and Thanksgiving should get their fair share before we start seeing a lot of Christmas stuff?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Of course, everybody knows that dollars are a big part of holidays, and it don't seem to make a difference whether it's Halloween or Easter or Christmas or what it is that it's always been pushed. The thing is, it isn't about the money you make. It's about the time you share with your family.
Well, Santa Claus, I know you have a very busy schedule ahead, and the Snowflake Festival is nearly upon us, December 1st through December 16th, with all kinds of events happening all over the Klamath Basin. So be sure to participate, whether it's just the parade or the many opportunities to spend some time with Santa Claus. Do you have any final thoughts about the importance of Christmas and the Snowflake Festival?
Well, yeah, one thing is that the theme for our Snowflake this year is or in the eyes of a child. And there's nothing more greater than a baby or a child that's enjoying Christmas.
Well, and we can't let you go without an official ho, ho, ho being thrown into the podcast as well.
Ho, 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 ho! Santa has arrived!
And you can meet Santa in person starting on December 1st at Coastal from 9 to 11 a.m., followed by a whole series of events associated with the Snowflake Festival, including the annual Snowflake Parade on December 6th at 7 p.m. down Main Street. Santa Claus, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us today.
Thank you so very much.